I love Akil Baddoo. If you're watching this video, you probably love Akil Baddoo too. If you come from a family of Detroit Tigers fans, your mother and grandmother probably love Akil Baddoo. So why does a guy who is currently fighting to stay in the majors have a majority of the fan base wishing the best for him? Well, to answer that, we first need to look at where Akil Baddoo was in 2019. Akil was a second-round draft pick by the Minnesota Twins, and he had finished the year playing high-A ball in Fort Myers. But he was left off the 40-man roster and was available in the Rule 5 draft. So the Detroit Tigers decided to select Baddoo with the third pick in the 2020 Rule 5 draft. Now, Akil Baddoo was still not considered a major league talent yet. He had potential and still needed to prove himself at the AA and AAA level like any young prospect. But that all changed after he hit an amazing .325 in spring training with 5 home runs, also showing his athleticism on the base paths and out in the field. So, in the most unlikely of circumstances, Akil Baddoo skipped AA and AAA all together, and with just 29 games of high A level baseball under his belt, Akil was set to make the Detroit Tigers opening day roster. Now, that in itself is an amazing storyline. But the story didn't end there. Akil Baddoo would get his first major league home run in his first at-bat on the first pitch he saw. And to top it off, this took place in Detroit at Comerica Park. This moment right here was the start of Akil Baddoo's Linsanity run. The very next day, on April 5th, against Akil's former team, the Minnesota Twins, he would hit a grand slam, hitting back-to-back home runs in his first 2 games, the first ever Tiger to do so, and the first player in Major League Baseball history to do so from the 9th spot in the order. What happened the next day, you might ask? Well, Akil did not hit a home run, but he did hit a walk-off single in the bottom of the 10th inning, and was the first Tiger to ever do so in the first 3 games of his career. Now, I know saying stuff like that is kinda something you just brush off, but what Akil Baddoo was doing was unprecedented. He was the first player in MLB history since at least the year 1900 to hit 2 homers, including a grand slam, and a walk-off hit in his first 3 career games. And Akil might be the only player in Major League history to do those things, but due to spotty stat keeping in the early days of Major League Baseball, we will never truly know. Nonetheless, this type of stuff had never been done before. At this point in time, Akil Baddoo was legitimately one of the best players in baseball. And of course he was a hero in Detroit. This was probably the best city for a story like this to take place. Detroit sports fans love nothing more than a successful, scrappy player who everyone else had either wrote off or not even given a chance to begin with. And Akil Baddoo was just that. However, it didn't stop at just his 3rd game. By the 10th game of his career, Akil was still maintaining this crazy run, having added 2 more home runs to his total, now sitting with 4, also having 11 RBIs, a .323 batting average, and an OPS of 1.172. Now after that, Akil would start to fall back down to earth, not hitting another home run until May 31st, and his average dropping down to 192 by May 6th. Akil had officially peaked and his Linsanity run was definitely over. However, that doesn't mean he wasn't still a good player. Akil finished the year with 13 home runs, 55 RBIs, a .259 average, with an on-base percentage of .333, along with an OPS of .766, and to top it all off, he hit 7 triples that year. Akil was still a fan favorite, and to be honest, he probably will always be a fan favorite in Detroit, no matter what happens for the rest of his career. But 2022 was a huge drop-off. Between injuries and being sent down to AAA due to his lack of production, Akil would just play 73 games in the majors that year, hitting just 2 home runs and batting just above .200. But in 2023, Akil would see a bit of a resurgence. He did start the year off in Toledo, but was called back up early into the year. He played over 100 games and actually had some decent numbers. His average still wasn't very good at .218, but his power numbers were back up. Sadly, the outlook for Akil is not very good going into 2024, with the Tigers signing Mark Canha and the emergence of Parker Meadows. The Tigers' outfield right now is really crowded. But I wouldn't count Akil Baddoo out just yet. We've seen him pull off the impossible before. Maybe I'm just optimistic because I'm a huge Akil Baddoo fan, but this is the same guy who to this day has never played a single game at the AA level because he never allowed a team to send him down that far and progressed too fast for the Tigers to ever play him at that level. Akil Baddoo's whole major league career has always been unpredictable, for better or for worse. But even if this is the end of Akil Baddoo's time with the Tigers, he will always be remembered here. He brought back the magic of baseball to a city that hadn't seen it for a long time. He was a hero to Tigers fans of all ages and backgrounds. The hope that Akil Baddoo provided to the city of Detroit cannot be understated. It was a much-needed break from a long and treacherous rebuild that had brought nothing but boredom and sadness to Tigers fans everywhere. I really hope Akil has a good season this year and puts himself back on the trajectory he was on at the end of 2021. I mean, this is a guy that captured the imaginations of every Detroit Tigers fan and really made us believe again and made us hope again and really kind of helped us that next offseason to kind of set ourselves up to try and make the playoffs, because that's what we thought we were doing when we signed Eduardo Rodriguez and Javier Baez and Tucker Barnhart and all that. But even though that didn't really work out well for Akil Baddoo or any of those guys that I just mentioned, it was still a great run to be a part of. That 2021 season was probably the closest we had ever been to the playoffs since 2016, because we made that great run from like May to June, July, that type of area. And Akil Baddoo was a big part of that. Now, he did fall off, like I mentioned, in 2022, and in 2023 was just kind of He still has a positive trajectory. He is improving. And I know that, again, the chances of him making the roster are slim. But I'm not going to say that they're impossible, because he definitely has it in him to make the Tigers major league roster. And if he doesn't make our major league roster, he's definitely got it in him to go and make somebody else's major league roster. And you know what? I'd rather see him go somewhere else and succeed than stay here and just get pushed down on the depth chart and never really get to see actual playing time at the major league level, because he's a major league baseball player. Like, his talents are good enough to be an everyday player in Major League Baseball. It's just maybe he needs a change of scenery or something, but either way, I'm always going to like Akil Baddoo. I've always liked how he plays. Everybody loves the story and stuff. So I just want to talk about his insane Linsanity run, doing stuff that we'd never seen anyone do before. I'm Limitless Pulls. I'll see you guys next week.
What you get mix right, nigga, put it in the blender. Hell yeah, I'm Wingstop. Put on some chicken tender. It's like the beef from energy and water like Kimber. Hey, turning, looking like dinner. It's like got the bag, boy or girl.